So, good day, everybody. Welcome to today's session of the Business Spotlight. Today, my guest is James Fahy, and James has a company called justtip.net. James, very welcome.
Hey Tom, thanks for having me.
So, listen, our audience are dying to hear your story. What do you do, and how long have you been doing it?
So I'm the co-founder and the chief executive officer at Just Tip. I'm at this idea came about December 2020, so that stage I was 19. Went live July 2021, and yeah, I've been at it ever since, about 3.5 years. For those that are listening in, what we do is, sorry, for those based in Dublin, we're those white tip machines where you can leave £1 or €1. So essentially, we are a contactless tipping platform that ensures businesses are fully compliant with legislation, but the tip that you leave as the consumer is guaranteed to go directly to the staff.
And is that to just any particular one sector or across the board?
Across the board. So we deal with hospitality, we deal with charities, we deal with micropayments, we deal with a lot of services, but the focus is hospitality because I guess
So,
tipping is.
who are you really helping here? Is it the business owner? Is it the customers who use it? Or is it the staff? Or is it all three?
See, I'm a brilliant sales guy. I'm going to say all three,
Come
obviously.
on.
Yeah, but it is. It's an interesting one because we kind of do end up tapping into all three of them. So we help the business. There's a legislation change in Ireland, December 2022. The UK just changed on the 1st of October 2024. What that means is employers have to show a clear path from customer to employee. There's no more, yeah, Tom, there was £50 collected there. It's Tom, here's a clear log of everything that came in, why you got it, where it went, and where it was when it was paid out to you. So that's the business. That's the same in Ireland. Number two is the consumer. Like I work hard for my money, and as an entrepreneur, I'm a full-time complainer. We complain about how many hours we do and all that kind of stuff. So when we work for our money and you leave a tip, you want it to go directly to the staff. And look, as a staff member, 99.9% of employers are brilliant. They will always, go above and beyond the needs for their staff, and sometimes they go even further than that. But for the employers that decide that they want to retain some of the tips or service charge, we're there to ensure the staff are fully protected because look at the end of the day, there's some of the lowest paid workers in the world, and they need to be protected. So that's kind of what we do as a business. So it's an interesting one. We kind of got stuck in the middle of everything in that sense.
Yeah. So, and tell me, what, if I may ask a real dirty question there, what was the hardest part in the last few years then getting started? Was it getting the first customer? Was it getting the first 20 customers? Was it getting buy-in from the people? What was the hardest thing for you to do?
People management.
Okay.
So as I kind of alluded to there, so we started the business, myself and my co-founder Kira, we're friends 10 years, 15 years at this stage. But we started this in July 21. I had our first customer on board within a week. Within a month, we were live in the UK. So we just started this growth journey, and it was brilliant. It was an amazing wave to ride. But the problem is, I guess, with a lack of experience, because we came directly from school. So I would have been the class of 2020 leaving secondary school, so COVID class,
Wow.
directly
Yeah.
into the real world. And when I say real world, by the end of 2020, at the end of 2021, I hired a team of people. Um, Long story short, not very good people decided to do some very bad stuff. We got left with like 150,000 quid in debt. I let them all go in one day. We had
Yeah.
shareholders that weren't very happy. Obviously, that's kind of a given.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were on our knees speaking with liquidators and managed to kind of turn it around. So now I can blame those people. I can blame myself. I can blame anyone, but I think it's just the resilience to keep going. So yeah, in a long-winded way, the hardest managed part of any business is people, and there's some amazing people working with us, but there's obviously some not so good people out there who maybe
And
were going
that's
down a different
that's
path.
like any game, could be soccer, rugby, tennis, whatever. If you haven't got the right team, the journey is a little bit harder. But
Yeah,
it's hard to get that team together. And I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself in many ways, saying you liquidate it. And yeah, those things happen, but they happen to entrepreneurs. This is part of life. This is part of the journey when you're an
yeah,
entrepreneur.
you
You
don't
got
get
to
it
take
right.
the ups and the downs. Yeah, it ain't about perfect. So tell us, what so far in your short entrepreneurial career, what have you learned about yourself most?
I'm probably resilient. No, I have an amazing family. I have amazing people around me, and I can go home to them upset and say that I want to give up, and then they say okay, and then I obviously turn around 10 minutes later going, I'm not going to give up. I've got things to do. I've learned for myself. Yeah, look, one, I probably had to go and change myself a small bit. I probably was very controlling at the start, and then I've got to realize that we have 15 people in our team now. I need to let them do their jobs as well as me doing my job. Because if I decide I'm going to take it on all myself, you're going to be left with all the work and paying all the salaries. Um, So yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I think you never stop learning as a CEO. You never stop learning as a founder. Forget about first-time founder, but in general. So yeah, I don't know if there's an exact thing. It's been a lot of things, I think.
I think it's a factor of a lot of different things. So what makes your business stand out? What makes it unique? I mean, are you one of the only people doing this?
In the space in Ireland, the UK, there's probably 5 or 6 operators at this stage.
Okay.
I would see us as one of the biggest. I think every other operator go, we are the biggest, but I'd like to think I'm very humbled. So we kind of
Good.
say that we are trying to grow as fast as we can. So yeah, like what we operate is completely separate to your standard point of sale. It's making sure that
Okay.
the employer is not involved in tips, making sure staff are involved and where they need to be involved. So yeah, that's really where we sit. So there's specialties in what we do. Our customer service is outstanding. The product line itself, so we are by far the cheapest within market. And I think there's some pretty cool products coming out which will push us further ahead in market in the next couple of months.
And as technology changes, James, going forward, where do you see the business in 5 to 10 years?
Uh, to not give away too much, I think
Yeah,
that's
don't
12
do
and a
that.
half thousand employees on our platform today. We have over 500 merchants in 4 countries. Um, I think the aspect of Just Tip, and it comes back to your point, Tom, a few minutes ago, was do we deal with the consumer, the employee, or the employer? I think we've ended up dealing with all three, and I think that's where the value in our business will sit in a couple of years' time. So it's having not as much the consumer because we don't really like. No one wants to be told that they've got to do it, leave a tip, but they want to do it themselves. So we don't really get involved there. But having the business and all of the employees on board gives us opportunity for additional products, essentially.
So you mentioned your employees several times there. So obviously team is going to be key to part of your future growth and current growth.
Yes.
What would you say are the top 3 attributes you would look for when you're taking on people to join your team?
It's actually a good question. We hired a few more people this week, and
Well
one of my
done.
guys was saying, "Thank you." It's an interesting one. Hiring more staff is great news, and it's more other news because at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you can afford them, and you got to make sure you can keep the cash flows. Because I've always overstepped my mark in the past, where I've ran before I could walk. But I've learned the hard way. You've got to walk first, then run. But sorry, coming back to your point, it's an interesting one. So when one of my guys asked me today, oh, you're going to ask them what type of person they are, and you don't ask that. So I ask people a couple of questions when they start with us. So number one, what's the aspiration in life? And there's no clear-cut answer in that. When you look at a salesperson, I want them to say, I'm bloodthirsty for money. That's brilliant. Because you want them driving revenue for it. And in IT, you want them saying that they want to build something really cool. So for me, it's the aspiration has to align with where we're looking to go as a business. For the person themselves, their aspiration in life, in my opinion, it's based around family. It's built around the things that are at the core of, I guess, success. I think in the past, I've probably steered towards shininess. And I say shiny people who are kind of give me shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in life. You work hard, you get the result. So they have to kind of align with that. And the last piece is just have to be a right fit for me. So I've got to sit in front of them and Kira also and say that, yeah, no, I can grab a beer with this person after work.
Okay. And do you currently have everybody in an office space, or are people working remotely, or a mixture?
It's a mixture, but I think anybody that's in Ireland is in our office. We are opening our own office now in Manchester, so that'll open in January.
Yeah.
With the team growing out there. So we're a HPSU client. We've received the full HPSU amount, plus we've just closing out an additional amount now that's under NDA at the moment.
Okay.
Which is brilliant. But because we're HPSU client, we're based up in the TU Grange Gorman campus and the Enterprise Ireland building, so in the incubator hub.
Very good.
Which is an interesting one. So for the last 2 years, I've been finishing my university. Sorry, 3 years I've been doing university in the background in Galway. So I've been done with the Galway 4 times a week. So it's been an interesting one coming back to a campus.
You can now up to 25 people or 15 people, which are you up to?
15.
So as a leader now,
I
you're
think
up.
in a year's time.
So you're up to 15 people now. So that means you've got to become more of a leader, which means in the early days, you got to manage. It's going to be a lot of micromanaging going on for the first several months. What have you learned, or could I ask you, what are you perhaps reading about leadership, or what are you doing to improve your leadership skills?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's really at the time to go reading. By the time you get home after reading 100 emails, you're kind of tired at that stage. But no, I think you learn on the job one. So I think if you're not listening to your gut, you're probably doing something wrong. Your gut is probably your best instinct. It got you this far. Should get you a bit further. I'm not a big reader, but I am a big listener. So as I said, I've got an amazing family network. My dad's worked in banking for 30 years. He's ran teams, and he's there to
Yeah.
give me a hand. And I think on the other side, I put a very, very good board in place. So my chairman,
Yeah.
for example, John Mould, who's been there since some of the very dark days, has managed to give us a serious dig out. So I get to call him, and I get to give him. So he's ex Morgan Stanley, ex PwC, asset management, and then exited a lending company in 2019. So he's a very successful man. But I get to ring them, and I kind of say, look, I've got this problem. What have you done? And then the other nugget that I found of piece, it's gold. And when I speak to them, I don't also is listen. You know, I think I take my parts that I want from it, because the situation that they found themselves in situation X is not actually correlating situation Y where I'm in. So I think that the nice part there is I've got a good variance. I also found that not getting one opinion is the right thing. You need to get multiple opinions, especially depending on the
Great.
severity of the event. You ring 3 or 4 people and you find out where they messed up, so you don't mess up too.
So great to have a backbone there that you can rely on and have a chat with mentors and stuff in that thing. So looking forward maybe 10 years, 20 years, what does the end of your business look like to you right now?
Yeah, to that, without saying too much, like there is
No,
competition.
no.
It comes back to the point a few minutes ago, whereas we sit in a really nice niche where we have the employer, employee, and consumer all in one. Where we're trying to steer the platform is around the financial services space. There's a lot in that. You can kind of go into a multiple vertical.
Hmm.
But I guess you have to make sure you have the funding to match the aspirations. So you got to have the right investors. And we have received funding from a number of investors. Like one would be Column Line, who's the ex-founder of Relax Payments, currently
Yes, indeed.
Fire.
Yeah.
Another notable name is Co-Ump. So Derek Delaney, Paul, and Glenn, the three of them exited Waystone for significant amounts. So they've
Yes, indeed.
co-opened
Yeah.
that up. So no, we've got some really, really good investors on our cap table who I get to pick the phone up to, and also bounce things off as well.
Yeah.
It's a piece that we've learned the hard way as well. You got to choose the right investors, just to kind of sidetrack for a minute,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's stories, obviously, of some really bad people out there who their endeavor is to have alternative motives, where you got to make sure your cap table is aligned, and I have to say mine is.
Yeah.
But I guess we're lucky in that sense as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I could talk to you all day about this. I'm going to wish you every success in the coming future. I'd like to check back in with you in a few years' time and see how you're going. But until then, thank you, James Fahy from Just Tip. That's JUSTTIP.net, guys. Look it up and talk to James. Many thanks indeed.
Thanks, son.